The Vorrkai Dominion had a rule for every species they conquered. You want rights? Earn them. You want status? Prove it. And you want to walk the upper corridors of Citadel Voth without being arrested on the spot? Well, good luck, because you would need to pass the cultural integration assessment first, which, for humans, always ended in the same humiliating place. Pet training. Not metaphorically. Not as an insult. Literally, actually, bureaucratically, in writing. The Vorrkai did not believe humans were sapient enough to be classed as citizens. They had reviewed Earth's history, read about the wars, the reality television, the comment sections, and made a decision. Humans were filed under Tier 4, Domesticated or Manageable Fauna, right next to the flubbering marsh crawlers of Sector 9, who, for the record, communicated entirely through flatulence. So when Corporal Mira Oyelaran of Earth's Interstellar Liaison Division arrived at Citadel Voth the first time, she was not assigned a room, a rank, or a welcome package. She was handed a laminated badge that read, Subject 7, Processing Pending, and escorted to a facility that smelled aggressively of something between wet fur and industrial cleaner. The sign above the door said, in 6 languages, Companion Adjustment and Behavioral Enrichment Center. Mira stared at it for a long moment. You have got to be kidding me, she said. The Vorrkai escort, a tall creature named Praxis Den with 4 arms and the energy of someone who had stopped caring about his job approximately 40 years ago, did not even look at her. Compliance is encouraged. Resistance is logged. Resistance is logged, Mira repeated under her breath, walking through the doors. Incredible. I crossed 4 star systems for this. The facility was enormous. Rows of enclosures lined the walls. Some holding creatures Mira had never seen. Some holding creatures she wished she had never seen. And one holding what appeared to be a very confused octopus from Earth's oceans, who had apparently also failed the assessment. Mira nodded at it sympathetically. Solidarity. The octopus turned 3 shades of red simultaneously. She was assigned to a trainer named Veska, a Vorrkai female who had the build of a filing cabinet and the personality of someone who had once loved animals and slowly had that love ground out of them by paperwork. Veska looked at Mira the way a mechanic looks at a car they already know is going to be trouble. You are the human, Veska said. Corporal Mira Oyelaran, Earth Liaison Division, technically. You are Subject 7, Veska said, writing something on a tablet. You will begin with basic commands today. Sit, stay, come. These are simple. Even the marsh crawlers managed 3 out of 4. Mira opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. I have a doctorate, she said. In what? Xenobiology. Veska wrote something else on the tablet. Mira was fairly sure it said combative. Now, here is where the story gets interesting. Because a facility held, in Enclosure 12, a creature the Vorrkai had been trying to train for 11 months. His name, according to the intake form, was Rook. He was a Gavith, which meant he was approximately the size of a compact vehicle, covered in dense gray-black fur that seemed to absorb light, had 4 legs built like structural support beams, a jaw that could bite through reinforced hull plating, and eyes the color of a dying star, amber, almost orange, burning from the inside. The Vorrkai had captured him on a contested border moon. They wanted him trained as a patrol beast. He had bitten through 2 control harnesses, destroyed a behavioral conditioning unit, and sent 9 trainers to the medical bay. Not out of cruelty. That was the unsettling part. He simply did not recognize the Vorrkai as anything worth listening to. He was, according to every report filed about him, utterly unmanageable. Veska made the mistake of assigning Mira his enclosure on her 2nd day, not as a real assignment, as punishment. Mira had, during the morning session, corrected Veska's anatomical assumptions about human neuroresponse 3 times, loudly, in front of the other trainers. So Veska handed her a food tray and pointed at Enclosure 12 with the energy of someone who expected a short and educational disaster. Feed Subject 12. Do not enter the enclosure. Slide the tray through the lower panel. Mira looked at the enclosure. Rook was in the back corner, entirely still, watching her with those amber eyes like she was a mildly interesting rock he had not yet decided to ignore. She slid the tray through the panel. He did not move, She crouched down, which no trainer had done, because crouching put you at eye level with a creature that could remove your head, and looked at him directly, not aggressively, not submissively, just level. "Rough week?" she said. Rook blinked. His ears, which had been flat against his skull, moved. Not much, just slightly forward. Mira sat down on the floor, cross-legged, in front of the enclosure, and waited. The food tray sat ignored between them. She did not push it, did not gesture at it, did not make encouraging noises. She just sat there, reading a data pad she had pulled from her jacket, occasionally glancing up. 3 of the facility's security cameras silently rotated to watch. After 40 minutes, Rook moved in front of the enclosure, lowered his enormous head, and ate. Veska, watching from the observation deck above, was quiet for a long time. Then she said, to no one in particular, that should not have worked. And from somewhere below, without looking up from her data pad, Mira Oyelaran said, "I know. Word travels fast in a facility where nothing interesting ever happens." By the 3rd morning, 6 trainers had quietly positioned themselves near Enclosure 12 at feeding time. Not officially, not on the schedule. They were just coincidentally all in that corridor, all at the same time, all pretending to check equipment they had already checked. Mira noticed. She said nothing. She sat down on the floor again, cross-legged, pulled out her datapad, and waited. Rook came forward in 4 minutes this time. Someone in the corridor made a small, involuntary sound. Veska, who was absolutely, officially, not watching, was watching from behind a support column. On the 5th day, Mira put her hand flat against the enclosure mesh, not reaching in, not forcing contact, just present. Rook looked at it for a long time with those amber eyes, the way someone looks at a signature on a contract before they decide whether to trust it. Then he pressed his nose against the mesh, sniffed once, and sat down on the side of it. Praxis then, the escort who had stopped caring 40 years ago. File a report that afternoon, it said, with remarkable understatement. Subject 7 appears to have made progress with Subject 12. Recommend continued observation. He paused and added, recommend reviewing Subject 7's classification tier. Possibly. That possibly was, for the Vorrkai bureaucratic system, basically a standing ovation. What happened on day 8 was the part that got recorded in 3 separate official logs and 1 unofficial one that circulated among the facility staff for weeks afterward. Veska, under pressure from a Citadel inspection, needed a demonstration of behavioral compliance from Enclosure 12. 11 months, no results. A senior official named Kethoran was arriving, and Kethoran had the kind of face that communicated, without words, that disappointing was not a viable life choice. Veska went to Mira. She did not ask nicely. The Vorrkai were not built for asking nicely. She said, "You will assist with the demonstration," in the tone of someone issuing a loading dock number, and walked away before Mira could respond. Mira showed up anyway, because she was curious. That was the thing about her, that the Vorrkai had not yet filed correctly. Humans, the file said, were manageable. What the file did not account for was that manageable and curious were not the same thing. Not even close. Kethoran arrived with 2 aides, both carrying tablets, both wearing the expression of people who were paid to look competent and were currently earning it. He stood at the observation rail above the main demonstration floor and looked down at Enclosure 12 with the energy of a man expecting a circus act. The enclosure door opened. Rook walked out. The entire room went very still. Kethoran's 2 aides both took a small, unified step backward, which they immediately tried to disguise as adjusting their footing. They did not disguise it well. Rook was not small in an enclosure. Out in the open demonstration floor, under the Citadel lights, he was enormous. His shoulders came up past Mira's head. His paws left indentations in the composite floor. He smelled like old iron in storm weather, and when he breathed, you could hear it. He looked around the room. Dismissed Kethoran immediately. Dismissed the aides. Dismissed Veska the same way he had dismissed every Vorrkai trainer for 11 months, which was completely and without ceremony, the way you dismiss a sound that turns out to be nothing. Then he found Mira standing quietly at the edge of the floor. His ears moved forward. He walked to her. The floor registered each step. He stopped in front of her, close enough that she had to tilt her head back slightly to look at his face, and sat. Not commanded, not cued. He just sat, directly in front of her, the way a very large, very dangerous thing sits when it has decided something. Mira looked up at him. "Hey, Rook." His tail moved once. A slow, heavy arc. Cathorin said, after a silence that lasted approximately 4 seconds, too long to be comfortable, "What is this creature doing?" Veska said, with the controlled calm of someone dismantling a complicated situation in real time, demonstrating behavioral compliance, "Senior official. With a human? Apparently. She is a Tier 4 classification. She was," Veska said. Then, because she was nothing if not precise, the reclassification paperwork has been started. Another silence. Rook had not moved. He was still sitting in front of Mira with the focused, settled patience of a creature that had made a decision and saw no reason to revisit it. She had one hand resting on the side of his jaw, not dramatically, not performing for the room. Just there, he leaned into it very slightly, the way heavy things lean when they are comfortable. Cathorin looked at his aides. They looked back at him with absolutely zero help to offer. He looked back at Rook. Rook did not look at him. Rook was, in every meaningful sense, not interested in Cathorin's opinion of the situation. Can follow commands? Cathorin asked. He is not in it, Mira said, pleasantly, professionally, the way you correct someone when you want to correct them, but also want to keep the room functional. And I do not know yet. We have not gotten to commands. Then what have you gotten to? Mira considered this. Trust, she said. Cathorin did not have a box for that on his inspection form. He looked at Veska. Veska looked at her tablet. The aides looked at their shoes. The reclassification went through 6 days later. Not Tier 4. Not Tier 3. Provisional Tier 2, which in Vorrkai classification meant sapient, probationary, do not eat. It was not, technically, a compliment, but it was the fastest reclassification in Citadel Voth history, and that detail got around. Rook was reassigned from unmanageable patrol asset to attached liaison companion, a category the Vorrkai had invented approximately 2 days before because no existing category fit. He went where Mira went. She walked the upper corridors of Citadel Voth, past the checkpoints and the gates and the long looks from officials who were still deciding what to make of her, and Rook walked beside her, and nothing in that citadel, not a guard, not a senior official, not a creature with better filing than the humans, gave him any trouble at all. Praxis Den saw them once, in the corridor near the eastern transit gate. He watched them pass. Then he updated his report. He changed possibly to recommend. It was, for the Vorrkai bureaucratic system, basically a standing ovation. Nobody told Mira she had changed anything. Nobody filed a memo about what one human sitting on a floor for 40 minutes had demonstrated about the species. They did not need to. The record was in the updated form. The record was in the reclassification. The record was in the way every trainer in that facility quietly changed how they approached the enclosures after that week. And the record was, most importantly, in Rook, walking down the upper corridor of Citadel Voth beside a woman the Dominion had once filed under domesticated fauna, his amber eyes forward, his enormous frame steady, going wherever she went. Not commanded, not trained, just decided equals.